Hi there, I'm back with another installment. Before taking our next proficiency test, as I asked you to do at the end of video 2B, I am going to answer a query that was put to me by a friend who is reviewing these for me before we post them. And I was told that two things. I updated my operating system to a higher Mac level called Sierra. And it was pointed out that my cursor is not appearing. So as the video goes on, I'm going to make sure I mention where the cursor should be, just in case you can't see it. And secondly, the reviewer said to me, Alan, you need to tell people how to give them the basic spreadsheet that you're asking them to use, okay? Because when you first call up Excel, it may not necessarily be formatted the way that I default to. So I'm going to show you how to do that before you try your second proficiency exam. Okay, so now on my screen, you see my mouse down here, my cursor rather, and right here in what Mac users call our dock, D-O-C-K, where all of our primary icons are, I'm going to click on the one that says Microsoft Excel. I am still getting used to it. I've just upgraded to 2016. Okay, when you bring up Excel, and this is what it should look like at Dean College on all of the PCs that we use up there, I'm just going to click on Blank Workbook. Okay? Now, give it a second. I'm going to click on Create. Okay, now this is what you should see. I'm going to make it a tiny bit bigger. Okay. Now, as you can see, that's very tiny, very busy, very hard to use. The good news is that unlike my old Mac, all of the taskbar tools that we see here automatically will come up. I used to have to invoke that myself manually, and that was really kind of a pain. Okay, but now the new and improved model is working much better. So what is the first thing I do? Now, when I'm setting up for one of our classes, I always do this on my whiteboard. I almost always have Excel handy. I come into class early and set it up my way. Now, you don't have to use my way, but this is simply what I prefer, so I recommend it to people who are using Excel early on, because I try to make things very visible and very easy to follow. Okay, so this is your brand new workbook. And again, I see my cursor as a little cross in all of the cells. I'm going to move my cursor up to the top where all of the A, B, C, D, E, all the letters are for my column headings. You may not see my black cursor up there, but you will see where the columns are changing as I point to them. And whenever I left click on any column heading, hold the left button down and scroll across. Either way, you should see all the columns highlighting. Okay, so if you can't see the cursor, no worries. I'm going to explain to you where it is, just to get over the differences between Macs and PCs. I can do the same thing with rows. I can, right now I'm on 3. I'm going to left click and hold and go down, and now I'm highlighting right now rows 3 through 17. Okay, so how do you set up? Here's how I set up. First of all, I'm going to come back up to column A, and I'm going to select a whole bunch of columns. Let's take it out through, say, V, okay? And you go out as far as you want to, depending on how wide your spreadsheet is going to be. Now, everything in any of those columns will be affected. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm putting my cursor in that gray zone that's highlighted, anywhere you like, and I'm going to right-click. And we're familiar with this menu already. These two areas that I'm highlighting between right now, format cells and column width, are what I am about to use. I'm going to start with column width. All right, those columns are so skinny, I can't really appreciate anything visually that's going to appear in those. So I'm going to left click on column width. Okay, right now it says 0.9 inches. Okay, now it's measuring it in inches. Older versions of Excel used a different format. Now I'm going to guess, and I'm going to try to go to 2.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to type in 2.5, and I'm going to click OK. All right, that's a little bit better. Now we took care of the width, but we still have the issue of our height of each of these cells. The rows are too short. We want to make them taller. So how we do that is I come up here to my taskbar within Excel, and right now I'm in the one that has the little 12. It says font size. I'm going to click on the drop down, and you can see there's a check mark beside 12. I'm going to make it, how about 22? I clicked on it, and now that makes the cells a little bit taller. So I've made them wider, I've made them taller. You can go back, practice, and make those cells as big or as tiny as you want. The thicker the contents of the spreadsheet are, the more you may want to adjust the width, and the taller the font that you have, you may want to make it higher. That is totally up to you. I encourage you, as always, to experiment with this. Okay? And let's just save this. I'm going to come up to that little save icon right there in my green taskbar and click on it. And right now it's defaulting to workbook 1. I'm going to type in, how about blank worksheet formatted. And I always like to put the date in all the work I do, just so I have a tag that I can refer back to, ladies and gentlemen. I click save or I hit enter. Either way, now I've saved. Now I can recover and go back to it. Okay, now I'm not going to touch anything. I'm still, notice they're all gray. I'm leaving it just the way it is because I'm not done. I want to format them. All I've done so far is adjust the column height and the column width. What I want to do now is be particular about how everything appears in these cells as I enter data into them. So without clicking anywhere else, if you do accidentally click anywhere else and erase all that gray highlighting, no big deal. All you have to do is come back up here to column A through column, I think we used V, and re-highlight it, okay? While it's highlighted now, that means that anything I tell it to do, it will affect all those columns, A through V, the ones that are highlighted. First of all, because I teach on the whiteboard or here online, I always like to bold everything. So I'm going to click on that big B, bold. Everything I type will be bolded. Okay, I'm going to come over here to color. All right, and for some reason everything just changed, so I'm going to go back. Let's worry about that later, because I'm learning as I'm going here too, since I just updated. Now, I like to use blue. I could use black. I can just type everything in black, but what I'm going to do is I like blue. It shows up very nicely on my class whiteboards and here online. So I'm going to go over where it says font color in my taskbar. I'm going to click the drop down, and I'm going to come down to, you can choose any one of these colors that you like, friends. I'm going to come down to more colors because I like to use specifically blue. Okay, I'm going to click on that and click on OK. All right, and here's one more thing I do. I'm going to right click and I come to Format Cells. Now, because I'm a finance professor and I deal primarily in numbers, I like to always use commas for my thousands places, number one. Number two, I like to use no pennies unless I specify otherwise. I want no decimal places. And thirdly, if I have a negative number, I like to show it in red and with parentheses around it. So how we change that, we have many, many things we can choose from here. Currency, for dollar signs, accounting format, dates. All right, I'm going to just click on number. Okay, I'm going to take 2 decimal places and see these arrows. I'm going to lower them to 0. No decimals, no pennies allowed. Secondly, there's my 1000 separator, that's the comma. I'm going to click that box to check it. Thirdly, negatives. You can show negative numbers with a minus. You can show them in red. You can show them with parentheses. Or here's my preference, friends. You can show them in red with parentheses. I'm going to choose that one. Okay? Those are my defaults. I click on OK. Okay? The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try raising my height one more time because it seems to have changed. Let's try 22. There it is. Okay, now I think I've got everything set up the way I want it, and this is how I usually set up a spreadsheet for you before we do any work here in our class that is part of our badging program. So I'm just going to click anywhere, and now you are in control of your spreadsheet. So let's go down to cell C7 and say, we are done. Okay? Very good. And that's how we do it, friends. Whenever you set up a spreadsheet, that's how I like to do it. So set yours up however you wish. And when you return work to all of us on the badging committee, who will be grading your work on all of these proficiency exams as we progress, we will certainly accept it in any format that you like. Okay? And that's it for the moment, and I will sign off now and wish you the very best of luck on proficiency test number 2. And remember, whenever you want to send anything to me, for the moment we're using the address ASADAMS, that's Alan S. Adams, that's me, that's my own self, at dean.edu. Okay? Thanks, and have yourself a very nice day. Bye-bye now.